I just got back from the 50th anniversary concert of Pippin at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane here in London's West End, and I have such good news because I've been to so many concert versions of different shows over the last couple of years in London, and without fail, they've disappointed me. Every single time, there's been some kind of glaring issue that has come up, and admittedly, I think all of these have been at the Palladium, and it just hasn't been up to snuff. It hasn't cut the mustard, right? But this show today, which is my first time ever seeing Pippin as well, was fantastic, beginning to end. Yes, there were one or two technical difficulties, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video, but just to begin with here, I want to front load this with how freaking amazing this was. I am so glad my first experience of Pippin was a show of this scale, and it's crazy because I had to keep kind of reminding myself it's a concert version, and yet they weren't just sitting on stools being boring. This show had full choreography, full costume, it was so incredible. The lengths that cast went to and everyone involved went to, the production went to bring this show to life, despite it just being a concert. Like, it's 2 nights only, and yet it was exquisite. It was insane. I'm really so impressed. And so the top line sort of sentiment that I want you to come away from watching this video with is they knocked it out of the park. They really did. And I am pretty harsh on concert versions of shows because there have been such a track record of them being bad. And this one just was not that. I could hear it, which was delightful. Like, a lot of the time I've been to concert versions and people are sort of muffled, like you can't distinguish some of the leads from some of the background voices or the orchestra or whatever. In this, everybody felt really clear to me, and I was sitting way up at the very back row of the balcony, and it was still sonically crystal clear, so that was a great sign. And then also just the whole cast. I mean, just pulling the program up here real quick. Jack Yarrow as Pippin, fantastic. Really, truly a brilliant job. I've obviously listened to a couple of Pippin songs on Spotify a couple of million times because how can you not, right? Like, Morning Glow is such a phenomenal song, and I can't stress enough how just deeply Morning Glow hit me when being performed by everyone here, but then also an on-stage choir of maybe 50 people or something, but maybe more, I don't know. There were a lot of people at the back of that stage. The orchestra were on stage as well. And just hearing the choir doing the full, absolute, full body sort of a background swell while those lead lines are coming out, like, oh my god, it was so freaking good. I had such a good time. That was the peak song for me, but there were so many other amazing moments. I teared up a little bit during Morning Glow, I'll admit. I also teared up during the wonderful Patricia Hodge, her song, playing Bertha and singing No Time at All. It was so wholesome, and I only found out afterwards, but she, Patricia Hodge, is the original Catherine from way, way back in the day, which is so cool to me that they brought her out for this, seeing as it's the 50th anniversary concert edition, or edition, I say like it's a comic concert version. And the audience was really applauding her so much after her song that she obviously exited stage, but she then came back on and gave Pippin a little hug and sort of acknowledged the crowd. And it was just, I cried. It was such a wholesome, heartwarming moment. And I didn't even know the background story. So like hearing that afterwards now and just saying it out loud now, I'm like, oh God, it's so nice. So I thought her song was fantastic. But I mean, I really don't want to make out like the other folks didn't kill it, because everybody did. I was so excited to see Alex Newell. I saw Alex Newell in Shucked on Broadway, and it was one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I will say, I think Alex Newell, relative to the rest of the cast, didn't get the opportunity to really show off in the way that maybe like Pippin, like character, for example, does get some really sort of standout moments, I think. So that was somewhat unfortunate because I think Alex has just such an incredible voice. But still, there were 1 or 2 moments where I was like, damn, damn, that was pretty good. Oh, holy moly. So great to see Alex in London as well. Just so happy that they're on this side of the pond. And then, I mean, Lucy Jones as Catherine, great. Zizi Strallen, actually, wait, hold on. Before I don't want to just move on from Lucy that quickly. Lucy played Catherine in such a comedic way, and I don't know if that's how Pippin always goes. Like, I don't know if that role is always as funny as it was, but I felt like she brought some kind of energy to that character that was just simultaneously really charming and also made her seem like a complete nutcase in some ways, but in a fantastic way. So I thought Lucy did really, really well there. Zizi Strallen was Mary Poppins a year ago. She was shaking her ass all over the stage, dude. Like, it was fantastic. She was very, very good. I mean, we all know that she's got an amazing voice and she played her part really well. But it's so funny just knowing that she was Mary Poppins so recently and now she's doing this. But yeah, I mean, everybody in the cast, really, all the players, fantastic. Jack Allen Anderson was just so long. Like, he is a very long man. And overall, I mean, I think everybody did fantastically, whether they were in the orchestra, the players, or just anyone on the stage at all. I thought it was a really wonderful show and really honored what I imagine Pippin means to people. I think that the challenge that I think a lot of these concert editions are facing is that some members of the cast absolutely are seeking to try and honor the show's legacy, whatever it might be that they're putting on. And so they're doing a lot of book work and a lot of real sort of like trying to ground themselves in the material, but just due to the nature of how concert versions go, they might only have a couple weeks to perform, or sorry, a couple weeks to practice and rehearse and all those sorts of things. And so it feels a little bit janky sometimes on the stage, potentially. This didn't feel like that at all. Like, the choreo was flawless. There was so much of it. They brought out one of those magician boxes midway through where it's one of those illusions where you can push, it's like 4 cubes on top of each other and you can push one of them to the side. So it looks like you've just pushed someone's torso out and they're like, their head is here. Like, it was a concert version. What business did they have doing that in a concert version of the show? What? It was just so wild. So I was like, is this actually happening right now? So yeah, in that regard, I'm stunned that they put the effort in that they did and they carried it out and pulled it off in the way that they did. I thought it was really, truly fantastic. So I want to just give everyone involved a really big round of applause. And if you get a chance to see this, if they do an extra night or something, which they won't do, that's not how the world works. But like, if they did, buy a damn ticket. Now, I did mention there were 1 or 2 issues, transparently, okay? I don't want to make out like this show is completely devoid of technical issues because there were 1 or 2 little minor things, okay? So first of all, this isn't really a technical issue, but it's something to be aware of. If you're sitting in the balcony in row K like I was, or you're sitting probably, I would imagine, in a similar place in like the Grand, for instance, there's a moment at the very start of the show where something happens in front of the stage. I've got no idea what it was. I have literally no idea. Nobody climbed up onto the stage, so it wasn't like a Bonnie and Clyde moment where Clyde's off stage and then he sort of yonks his way on there and he sort of starts talking to people. It wasn't like that. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a character. I don't know if it was an elephant. I've got no clue what was going on off stage in that opening part of the show, which is unfortunate. I would have really liked to just have some kind of context on what that was. But technical issues wise, at the end of Morning Glow, right, when the choir all starts singing and it's building to the final climax of that song, right, which is the final climax of Act 1 as well, and it's so powerful. They were building and building and building, and then somebody's mic wasn't on, and it was mid song, and then I think the next person that was singing after that, their mic was on, so it wasn't so bad, but there was a little bit of just sort of confusion-ish on stage, and it sounded like the choir was still pumping in the background and stuff, so in that regard it was still good, but to have the momentum of that moment spoiled by the mic just being gone and not hearing a line was so unfortunate. And I was really annoyed at the time because I didn't realize, because I haven't seen the show before, I didn't realize that it builds and builds and builds in that way. And then they have that sort of like maybe like 60-second sort of pause, and then they do it for real that final time. And the choir comes back in and it's boom, end of Act 1. And So I didn't know that was coming. And so I thought that I just missed the climax of the song completely because the mic was off. So I was like really sad. And then it came back and I was like, okay, well, at least I have this sort of second go around. But it would have been so much more powerful if it just hadn't happened. And this seems to be a real issue with concert versions, right? And I imagine it's a difficult thing to do. You don't have a lot of opportunities to rehearse a song like this or a show like this even. And then on the day, there's just so much for them to have, to be doing even for the first time, right? So I have sympathy for them in that situation. There were maybe 6 or 7 other lines during the show, which were also just lost because the mic was off. Really unfortunate, something that I lament whenever it happens. I will say that in this show, compared to certain other shows that I've seen in concert, it wasn't too bad when the mics were off in the other instances. In Morning Glow, it was a real problem. In other instances, it was less bad because I could either make out what the character was saying anyway, just thanks to the fact that the person was speaking loud enough that it still carried, or it just didn't feel like it was really consequential in any way. I didn't feel like I missed any important plot points or like anything like that. So that was good. So yes, some problems in that regard, but mostly fine. I also really wasn't a fan of the massive bang that happened twice during the show. If you're going to see this show tomorrow, I guess, I'll be putting this up today. I want to warn you, towards the beginning of the show, there is a really loud bang when confetti pops from balloons or whatever it is in the ceiling. It really surprised me in a not good way. So I really didn't like that. I thought that it was just unnecessary, really. I think that the confetti being in the air is not as beneficial as the downside is of me being in fight or flight mode all of a sudden because of a massive loud bang. Like, I think that the bang outweighs the positive there. So I would have just not done that. I think that it was just a bit too jarring. And then also just be aware of the fact that also if you're in the balcony, there's a moment where words roll down for you to be able to sing along with the song. And you're just not gonna be able to see those words if you're in the balcony in the sort of back couple of rows, which is sort of fair enough. Like, I'm in the friggin' balcony, right? So I'm not docking any points for it, but just something to be conscious of. Now, I will say, just real quick, having only listened to 1 or 2 songs from Pippin previously, and having now seen it for the first time, what's going on in this show? Like, Pippin is in the show as a character. It's the character Pippin, but then at the end of the show, it's a different show. Like, it's no longer the same show. The whole Charlemagne thing, they're no longer performing that. And it's not even, like, who are the performers anyway? Like, is this a circus? Why was there a magic trick? Like, what was going on there? So if it's a circus and they've got this Charlemagne thing, but then he's like, this isn't meaningful. Is it an actor trying to find meaning in different pieces of work that he's inserting himself into to try and find meaning in his character's journey? Like, is that the idea? Or like, what's the whole thing where he meets Catherine in the second act and then they cut I don't know even what the character's name is that Alex Newell was playing. Let me see. The leading player, like, cuts the show, but then Pippin is still Pippin and Catherine is still Catherine, I think. But I mean, I need to see it again. I'm intrigued. I want to know more. And then they rope in little young Theo to be in Pippin's position in the troupe. So bizarre, but in a way that I love. Like, I adore how weird it is. And I really want to dig into what the deal is. And so what I'll probably be doing is not reading the comments on this video, admittedly, because I want to like crack the code. I want to like think about it for myself, and I don't want to just sort of like automatically be like, oh, somebody else's theory. Oh yeah, that works. So prepare for me to mull this over, and I'll get back to you guys on what I just witnessed, because it was something quite strange. But the concert version of Pippin, the 50th anniversary one, no less, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a 5 stars. It was just glorious. I had such a good time, and I'm so glad that they did it as well as they did. I thought it was brilliant. So thank you, everyone involved, and thank you for watching this video. If it's been useful or interesting, drop a like, and maybe I'll see you next time.